Opportunity Commission. They are a watchdog for the federal government to make sure any company, any corporate office, any business that's accepting any federal money, they follow federal guidelines. This speaks specifically about the new policies, and they're talking about Missouri as well. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's under the Title VII, 1964 Civil Rights Act. So this is protected. So this is showing you now that employers cannot blatantly discriminate against you because you're an ex-offender. They have to now put some reasoning behind it. How does the job relate to your conviction, your offense? Please be well read on this. Please be able to have dialogue with your potential employer if that comes up as an issue. A young lady right out of this workshop had got turned down. We sat down and had a one-on-one. I gave her this information, and I suggested to her to call back and share disappointment with the employer. Excuse me, by saying, you know, I'm disappointed I didn't get the position. I felt I had the necessary skills. You disqualified me because I'm ex-offender. Are you aware of the new EEOC policies? The woman said I have to call you back. She wasn't aware of the person that interviewed her. She did her research and called the lady back and offered her the job. So a lot of times employers are not aware of these new laws and regulations. You being a consumer and being informed allows you to be able to have dialogue and conversation and protect yourself. Does that make sense? Does this work for you, Miss Graves?
Yes.
Okay. I just want you, I'm trying to give you information that can inform you, you know, so it's not as stressful. You feel like you have some leverage. Okay, your facial expressions tell me, no, it's not, you don't, is that okay?
It is okay what you said. It's just that I'm just going back to what you said when you're doing the research for the company and asking for, you know, what is the policy about ex-offenders.
Policies and procedures.
Yeah, policy and procedures.
On hiring ex-offenders.
On hiring, okay.
Not about ex-offenders, on hiring, because you want to frame the question so they can give you some information that makes you make a decision on whether you want to move forward and apply, or are you wasting your time.
Okay, so when does this actually take place?
That's law.
So every company?
Not every company. Let me make sure you guys, please write this down. On this piece of paper I just handed you, write this down. This only applies to companies that are receiving any federal monies.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's the EEOC.
That's the keyword.
If they're not receiving any federal dollars, and a lot of times you don't know if a company is receiving federal dollars, but what happens is that usually when the federal government implements something, even people who are not up under those guidelines try to follow suit most times because they want to be on the cutting edge. They don't want to be considered, you know, 10, 15 years behind, usually. But this allows you to have something, a reference point to refer to. Does that make sense? So I know that if you're sitting in front of a person interviewing you and you're aware of the new EEOC guidelines, and that person's a human resource person, you're going to come out much more informed and much more well-read than the person who doesn't have any idea. Just be able to, you know, you can start a conversation off. You know, I was reading a newspaper the other day, and I was so glad to see that the EEOC now is holding companies accountable and not allowing them just to blatantly discriminate against ex-offenders. You're indirectly speaking to that employer if that conversation comes up. Okay? All right. These are some more. We did the interviewing yesterday, so now your next step is working on resumes and cover letters, right? So we're going to finish this last portion of our workshop. I got some handouts I'm going to hand you. I'm not going to do a lot of discussion around them. I'm going to empower you and hold you accountable to read the handouts because they're relevant, because the handouts are relevant, and they will definitely be beneficial. Okay? So the first one is this. This talks about what Mr. Kimball asked about, what you asked about, Ms. Miller. I'm going to tell you. Give me a second, okay? Adult education and literacy. Take one and pass it down. Okay? This talks about Kansas, but if it mentions Kansas, this is Kansas City, Missouri. So this gives you some orientation dates. Ms. Miller, this also gives you a chance once again.